Where do the Denver Broncos go from here after losing both Tim Patrick and KJ Hamler? It was not a good day to be a Denver Broncos wide receiver. It all started on just the second play of 7-on-7 periods on the Denver Broncos' first day of padded practices of training camp when Tim Patrick snapped his Achilles. It was a somber scene out there at Centura Health Training Center, and it really destroyed the overall dynamic and energy of today's practice. And just as we were coming out of practice today and trying to absorb the blow of the Tim Patrick news, we were hit with some even more rough news at the wide receiver position when it was announced that KJ Hamler is dealing with a heart infection, a mild heart infection known as pericarditis, and that he is going to be waived by the Denver Broncos with an injury designation, or actually a non-football illness designation. And what's going to happen there is once he is fully recovered from that at some point in the regular season, the Denver Broncos will have to wait until 3 weeks after that point, and then they will be able to re-sign him if they choose so. So this left the avenue open for KJ Hamler to come back to the Denver Broncos. But as for Tim Patrick, this is the second season-ending injury for him in 2 seasons. A really, really rough blow for him. But we've already talked about those injuries for the Denver Broncos, but we now need to move on to the football side of things and evaluate where do the Denver Broncos go from here? Who's going to step up, who's currently on the roster, and who could the Denver Broncos potentially bring in outside of who we currently have to add some depth to get us through training camp at the wide receiver position? So if we come over here and come to this tweet from Dov Kleiman, he put together a list of some free agents that the Denver Broncos could be interested in adding, and I actually have some of my own as well. So Julio Jones is the first one. He's probably the biggest name on this list. I don't think that Julio would be very interested in coming to Denver. He's in the twilight years of his career. He went to Tampa Bay last year with the hopes of winning a championship. That obviously did not happen. Now, it's unbeknownst if Julio's going to even play again, but I don't think he would want to come to a situation with, quite frankly, a lot of unknowns in the Denver Broncos. He'd want to go somewhere where he'd probably have a better chance at getting a Super Bowl ring this season. The name that does intrigue me here, however, is Jarvis Landry. Although Jarvis did not play under Sean Payton, he does have familiarity in this offensive scheme from playing with the New Orleans Saints last year. Pete Carmichael, the Saints offensive coordinator, has been there for many, many years and was the play designer there, although he wasn't the play caller until last season. So it's the same offensive scheme that the Saints have ran ever since 2006 when Sean Payton took over. Jarvis would know the intricacies of the routes that he would need to run. He would know where to line up, just the simple stuff like that. Plus, he would bring a veteran stability and a veteran presence to the Denver Broncos receiving corps. So Jarvis could potentially be an option. He's probably the most intriguing option out of this list of players. Maybe somebody like Sammy Watkins, although he really fell out of favor with the Green Bay Packers last year and is really on the latter half of his career. Everybody else on this list I'm not really interested in, but there is a player that I do have some potential interest in at the wide receiver position, and he didn't play at all last year, but when he got playing time in 2021, he did shine, and he's got experience with a scrambling mobile quarterback. This was a name that I got seen thrown out there on Twitter earlier today, and that is former Arizona Cardinals wide receiver Antoine Wesley, who's got familiarity, of course, playing with a mobile quarterback in Kyler Murray. And he's a bigger body as well. So if we come over here and take a look at Wesley's stats here, in 2021, he had 19 catches for 208 yards, an average of almost 11 yards per catch and 3 touchdowns. So there were points in 2021 where Antoine Wesley was asked to be the Arizona Cardinals' number 2 wide receiver. And I feel like he stepped into that role quite well. He's 6'4" and 206 pounds and is right now sitting on the free agent market. Those are probably the best set of options that the Denver Broncos have right now to absorb the blow of losing Tim Patrick and KJ Hamler. We could very easily get KJ back at some point in the season, so we have to keep that in mind as well. Guys like Marvin Mims are also going to have to step up. Marquez Callaway in-house is going to be a big guy that's going to be asked to take a big step forward. He's going to basically fill that Tim Patrick role now. Jerry Jeudy's going to basically be the Z wide receiver. Tim Patrick would have filled that role. Now it's going to be a rotation basically between Callaway and Jeudy, and then when Callaway's in there, they'll probably kick Jeudy inside the slot. We've seen that quite a bit in training camp. Mims will be on the field quite a bit. When KJ gets re-signed, if he gets re-signed, he'll be on the field quite a bit as well. Little Jordan Humphrey has had a really nice camp. Those two guys, Marquez Callaway and Little Jordan Humphrey, have really shown their familiarity with this Saints offense, and I feel like someone like Jarvis Landry could come in and showcase that as well from their time with the New Orleans Saints. So overall, guys, the Denver Broncos, it hurts to lose KJ Hamler and Tim Patrick, but we do have ways that we can soften the blow at the wide receiver spot. And I'm pretty confident that we're going to be able to do that, regardless if it's through in-house guys or potentially bringing in somebody out of the building like Jarvis Landry. All right, Broncos country, who would you bring in as a potential replacement option for KJ Hamler and Tim Patrick in free agency? Drop those comments down below, guys. I would love to hear your thoughts as always. Be sure to leave a like on this video as well as subscribe and ring the bell so these videos appear in your notification feed. I would really appreciate it, guys. Those are two free and easy ways to show your support. It helps tell YouTube's algorithm to push us out and helps us get seen by more and more members of Broncos country just like you and me. And until next time, guys, this has been another episode of Denver Broncos Syndicate. I am your host, Gage Madrid, saying peace out.